you muted?
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Ashley, and this is My Sweet Perspective, where I give my take on all things TV and movie related. And y'all know I'm here to put you on. We are back to talk the series finale of Disclaimer, y'all. It is over. It's over. It's over. And before we get into all of these slides, I want to know from each of you, how do you guys feel about it being over? Quana, I'm going to start with you. How are you feeling now that everything's out on the table?
I'm feeling okay. I don't feel like it has to go into a second season, but I do think that there was space for maybe one more episode.
Okay. Okay, girl. I'm glad it's over, but not because it wasn't a good story. It's just that I don't know what other twists and turns I can take. Kay, over there at A Slice of Horror, how about you? Now that it's over, now that it's finished, what are your feelings?
I agree. I feel like we could did like one more episode because I still feel like there's more to the story. I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm not saying that she's lying. I'm just saying I still feel like there are details from the story missing.
So she's still a predator. Tyra, over there at Struggle Reviews, how about you? Now that it's over, now that it's all said and done, and this is the end of it, according to Apple TV. This was a limited series, 7 and done. Are you pleased with the outcome? Is there anything else you would have wanted?
I mean, I'm fine with it. I don't think we needed an extra episode. I think an extra episode would have wrapped things up in a nice little bow for us and gave us like definitive answers. I like the fact that we don't know. I like the ambiguous situation of, well, you might think she was lying or you might think she was telling the truth. You might think there's more to share, but you're never going to know. Like, I can appreciate that. I thought it was perfect.
Okay, y'all. Well, let's get into it without further ado. Let's see. Here we go. Episode 7. Lord, Lord, Lord. But first, overall thoughts. And so, Tyra, I'm going to start with you. Overall thoughts about the finale, about this last episode. Did it take you on a roller coaster of emotion? What were your overall thoughts?
I feel like we were all validated in many points that we had about the characters here, and we got a lot of stuff right. I didn't think we were going to linger in certain areas as long as we did, but what's to be expected from this show? We've lingered this far, so why should we have expected anything different? But just with the complete flip of the narrative in the beginning, it was a slap in the face how long we stayed there and just what she had to endure being depicted, and then just kind of the full circle moment in the end, the idiocy, like the husband child, just that it was it was I appreciated it. It was pretty intense. I feel like this was so perfect for me. Like I just really love the way that the writing and the story was executed here all the way, like completely.
Totally agree. This was a pleasure to watch. This felt like really good TV. Every performance, I'm telling you, that Kevin Kline gave, baby, I was locked in. Good, bad, indifferent as far as his character's actions. It's been a while since I've seen a really good series, and I think start to finish, this was just good. And I don't feel like it got the notoriety that it deserved. I don't feel as though it got the viewership that it deserved, but it was really well done in terms of storytelling. Kay, what about you? Overall thoughts on episode 7?
She's still raggedy because she left her son for dead. Um, I'm glad Nicholas is okay. And yeah, I feel like a lot of Apple TV shows just fly under the radar. This is just another way of Apple TV showing us that they produce good content and nobody watches it. But I'm always here for Apple TV.
I am too. They haven't let me down. Really. They haven't really let me down with what I've tried to watch. Quana, what about you? Specifically episode 7, overall thoughts.
Yeah, I enjoyed the episode. I thought that it was good that we finally got a chance to hear her perspective. I don't I think I wanted a tad bit more, not necessarily from Catherine, because I felt like we got what we needed to get from her, but just because of the way it played with perspective the whole time, I would have liked an outside voice to come in and kind of like showed us what it looked like from that. But I thought that Kate, she did the thing. I thought Kevin did the thing. I still think that Robert is trash. um, so I was pleased because so often we don't get a chance to see a story reach its completion. So I was glad that it felt like okay, it did end, and it felt like there was an ending.
Okay. I mean, yeah, there was clearly a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I think what they were trying to do in terms of the narration, because you'll notice even in this last episode, the narration was different than what we had seen. We've been heavily narrated episodes 1 through 6, and then it's kind of like, okay, which kind of lends itself to Catherine's perspective really being the truth, right? Again, episode 7 was entitled "It's Time for My Voice to Be Heard," because everybody been talking this whole time. But it's time for my voice to be heard. And so that's kind of my starting point and where I want to start as far as Catherine. We've been doing it every Monday night. I want to know how y'all feel about Catherine Ravenscroft. Kay, I want to start with you. Is this the truth? And how do you feel about her character by the end of the series?
I don't know. It's too many holes in her story. It's something not adding up. I'm not saying that she wasn't assaulted, but it's mighty strange that you tell us that that you were glad that your son was asleep because you thought that Jonathan would hurt him if he was awake. Like you were afraid for your son's life. But then in the next scene, you was gonna watch your son drown, and then Jonathan jumps in and risks his life to save your son. I don't. Something is missing. Something's missing. So I don't know. And she literally admits, you just like, yeah. I mean, he was drowning, and I was just gonna stand there. I just, Catherine, something is off. Something's off.
Not Catherine. Something's just wrong with you. Something's wrong with you. Quana, what are your thoughts on Catherine as a character by the end? Because I ran the gamut of emotion with Catherine, from a strong hate to a disdain to a confusion to now, dang, I feel a little bit bad for you, Catherine. Like if he did you like they said he did you, like they showed he did you, girl, I'd have been scared for my life too.
I think because I started doubting Jonathan's story right around like episode 3 or 4, I've been kind of like coming over toward Catherine's side for a little while, because once it clicked that there was no way for the mama, once it like clicked in my head, like there was no way for the mama to know the stuff that she was putting in this story, I was like, there definitely is more to Catherine. And when we saw some of her reactions to Nicholas being hurt, and I go back to that first episode when she found the little stuffed animal, and she was like, "Oh, Nicholas, like, look, it's your stuffed animal." And she had that little like mom nostalgia moment. And I was like, this is definitely like, there's more to, she's definitely a complex character. Um, I like her because I think the way this show is dealing with how we deal with fear, it's very intriguing to me. Like I want to dive in. I want to think more the levels of it, because we saw her kind of go through the levels of fear, all the different fear responses, from being frozen to wanting to scream out to reacting like just to take off running when she knew that he was coming. I know we ain't there yet, but when she took off running down that street, I was like, yeah, she's going through all the stages of fear. So I really enjoyed that.
Oh, she's definitely going through it, and I think that that's an interesting concept of, as well as not only how we classify or determine who a victim is by their actions. Sometimes that can be a misnomer, right? Because everyone's not going to react the same to every stressor, to every situation. My biggest issue with Catherine the entire season was she doesn't behave like an innocent person. She doesn't, everything, all of her moves were about my life is going to be ruined. I'm somehow at fault for this, which that's what kind of left me on the edge. And I like that it questioned kind of my own moral compass as it relates to that. Tyra, talk to me about that. Her behavior post the book coming out, Stephen's whole, 18-pronged attack, and how your view of Catherine has changed.
18-prong attack.
Listen,
I mean, I can't say that the view of Catherine has changed. I think like definitely that first 1.5 episode, it was like, oh, she needs to pay. She definitely needs to pay for all that she's done. And then when it's just like we're getting real detailed, and who writes like this about their own son, and how would she even know? Yeah, something's wrong here. I love this because the way we was on Catherine's head immediately when we felt like she was a predator and he was the victim, and how would you do that? And the way that it can just turn on its head, within an episode following that one, to where we get all the way here, and it's just like, how dare we do this to Catherine? How dare we do this to Catherine? Expecting every victim to look the same, to be perfect, to be cast in a certain light. And it's just like, no, all this time of her, I'm doing this for, my son and Nicholas, and this is going to ruin my life. And that's me. It was shame. It was internalized shame and embarrassment for something she tried to suppress and that she thought she was never going to see again. It wasn't so much incriminating of what she, what she could have maybe done on her part. It was just more so the fact that it happened to her at all, and all of this shame that she was carrying that she's just suppressed for so long. And we didn't know at the time, but the son was suppressing it, and it's just ruined this family. And she's just kind of stuck in between, because I think just looking at Catherine, it's just like, girl, why would you do that? I wouldn't have done that if I was in this situation, because I was like, where are the police? where are the federales? Where is somebody, girl? Get somebody, Catherine. Like, if your life and your son's life is in jeopardy to this extent, why are we taking so long to want to? It was just like, no, I would rather take my time, sit here, slap him in the face, tell my truth, because I'd rather tell it here to him than to tell my husband, bring it up to my son, bring it up to the police, anybody in my workplace. I just want you to know that this is who your son is or was. And if, we never have to bring it up again, we never do, because I just don't want to talk about it. And we never, considered the fact that it couldn't have been that first episode. But I love this. I think it unfolded really, really nicely. And I think she is 100% in her truth.
Oh, yeah, she's sitting in it now, baby. I mean, we're sleeping in it because we saw what Stephen did to her tea. And why she sat up and drank that tea, I'll never, ever, ever understand. But Stephen Brickstock, I had to get in his tail this last episode because, sir, you wrong. You don't hear this lady pour her heart out and say, oh, I don't believe you. Let me get up here to this hospital. It was so interesting to watch his journey from first episode until where it culminates. And of course, we'll get to that at the end of this slideshow. But I was like, dang, that didn't make you halt in your tracks a little bit, Stephen? Like, you so locked and loaded. Your mind is so made up. It still doesn't matter. I'm going to get it back in blood until you hear Nicholas whisper these words. Stephen, I was so disappointed in his character in this moment, and I shouldn't have expected more because after all, he is a Brigstock. But I had grown to like Stephen. I was kind of here for the foolishness. Tyra, talk to me about Stephen and how your perspective of him changed from start to finish.
What are you talking about? When Stephen rolled up with that Drano, once Stephen went into attack mode in the DMs and we're going towards the sun when our problem is actually with Catherine, like, what kind of plan is this? I thought it was to just make people know the truth about her or look at her for who she was. We're not trying to cause death at our own hands at that. Like, that was absolutely insane. And I thought this was natural. Like, I don't believe you. He has been in denial for some time as far as who that wife was and who that son was. Whatever the son was, it was definitely present, and the mom recognized that, and she's been trying to mask it and over love and oh, my boy, and paint him in a certain light when he probably was never that. And that's probably what happened with that girlfriend who disappeared and wanted nothing to do with him by the time we got, even when it's like, yeah, he's dead. We still didn't care. We still don't know exactly what he did, but we know that it was something that made her separate herself. And rather than admit to, yes, my son was that, we rather just go with this. Even if he just felt like, yeah, that didn't happen, you're lying. He knows that his son is capable of something, but he doesn't want to believe that because he likes the idea of what he feels like he's lost in this motivation. He's suffered. Whether it's for good or bad, you need to suffer too because I have.
Absolutely. I think he liked almost being this last man standing, and I've got to do this to, seek vengeance for my family who was wronged. Right? I blame you for my wife's death. I blame you for my son. It was all your fault. You were this harlot that my wife wrote about in this book. Quana, talk to me about Stephen and your. You thought the worst of him really, really early on, but talk to me about Stephen and how you felt about him throughout.
Listen, I'm a high school teacher. Stephen is a high school teacher. I knew he was on some ish because, mama's be in the principal's office tripping all the time. But when she said what he wrote, and we never got to hear what he wrote in the comments, and now I'm just thinking he must have really just cussed that child all the way out over some misplaced commas. Like, I'm just like, sir, I don't even know if he was ever stable, let alone the mama. And even now, it's like he is putting all of it off on Nancy and not even really internalizing the role he played in it. It's like, oh, of course she coddled him. Of course she hid who he had become, da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, but weren't you in the house, boo-boo? So you ain't know your child. I was just over Stephen. And he really just sat there and let old girl fall to the floor next to that puddle of milk. I was like, oh, you really ain't, you can't even stop and wipe the milk up and help her out a little bit. Like, you really just gonna let her lay next to that milk like that? I was not pleased with Stephen. He was dead wrong. And I really thought, but we not there yet. But I really thought he was gonna get gone in that hospital. So I was kind of low key. I was waiting for it, but I'm glad he didn't go that way because he needed to tell Robert the truth.
It was, he thought he had a leg to stand on. He thought he had some righteous.
Yeah, that was too much. Going after
indignation.
Nicholas was too much. Even once he knew that, once he heard her, he should not have, he should have just not gone back. Even if he needed to take her out because if she was evidence at that point, he shouldn't have gone back to that hospital room once he heard her story.
Well, that's the part that got me, because I'm like, okay, if you thought you had righteous indignation prior to this moment, she's just poured her heart out. Baby, that lady didn't make all that stuff up. Come on, sir. And he was still like, whatever. I'm actually surprised he even eventually even apologized. I'm surprised at that. EJ coming through with a super chat. Thank you so much. $3 super chat. I am guilty of thinking Catherine was a sicko. I was too. I thought she was Earth enemy number one. Super chat. Girl who drinks the tea? I'm not drinking ish. Baby, not from that dirty, repugnant house of horrors. I wasn't eating anything or drinking anything that Stephen made with his unwashed hands. He stinks. Stephen don't take no baths. He got that same sweater on. Showing support on to all on the panel. Gotta go. Talk to you later. Well, thank you for being here, EJ. Thank you for stopping there. If you're not subscribed to EJ, go on over there and show some love. She said this all got good after I got past these episode 2. I thought it was good start to finish. Kay, I know Stephen was your homeboy. You was riding with Stephen. How do you feel about him now?
I'm cool with Stephen because he ain't do nothing in the end. If somebody told me something like that about my child initially and they a raggedy heifer, I'm not going to believe you either. Let me sit in it and make up my own mind, okay? Let me sit in it and put all the clues together, but I'm not going to tell you to your face, especially when you just told me that you was about to let your own son drown. So I know if you let your own son drown, you was going to let mine drown. So I'm going to need to sit in that for a minute, okay? In the end, he got himself together and he ain't do nothing. But I was going to roll with him because, again, he ain't have nothing to lose. And he said a son for a son. Now, with this new information, let me sit with it for a second. And then I will determine whether I need to carry out my plan.
You have no sympathy for Catherine in the fact that with the baby and the buoy and him going out there on the water, and why she was even in that state and kind of in a disarray to even like, what the hell do I, it was kind of all coming at her. Like, and
I'm
before
just
you
still
know,
confused. If somebody, why would somebody who just assaulted me, okay, and threaten my life, go out to save my child, and especially if
there
I'm
was
not going to
nobody
get it.
around. She was looking, and it's just like, well, hell, I don't want my baby to drown. But if it could have been anybody except for you, like, I hate that it was you, but somebody saved my baby. I can't swim.
So if Michael Myers was stalking you and and you seeing Michael Myers running into the water and your son is in there, what you gonna let him go in the water after your child, or you gonna be like, no, I got it, Mike, don't even do that, I got it, don't even come out
Not
here.
if Mike can swim, Kay. Go on in there. Don't hit him with the knife or nothing. No, just bring him back to me.
No, because I don't want you nowhere near me and my family. If you running, then I'm running too. Like you not gonna be you're not gonna be this predator person, and then I see you running towards my child. Because what if you was running towards my child and you pull him under the water, or you run and grab him and then you run away and kidnap him and abduct him? That's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't want you near me and my family. But she was just like, oh, but yeah, go on in there and get him for me. Go ahead. You know.
And then drown. And I saw nobody was going for him, so I said, well, let him drown. I mean, but if he did all that to me, let him drown too. I don't know. That's so interesting. We'll get to it. Dane C, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. I watched 2 episodes. It's kind of dull to me. He said, listen, it's dull. Baby, well, you gotta watch it, Dane. I didn't think it was dull, but everybody has different tastes. That's the beautiful thing about TV and movies. We can all, like different things. And so it all comes out. Catherine basically says, and let me give you guys the long and the short of it. She was preyed upon. She was victimized in the most terrible of ways, and made to do incomprehensible things. That man made her drink his blood. That was low down. That's how I knew, trigger warning, y'all. Okay. But that's how I knew, like, okay, this must be the truth, because it accounted for this scar, this cut that he had in his arm. But the villainy of damn Jonathan, he watched her at that bar like a creep. And I told y'all he was a creep when I saw him on the beach with that camera. I said, you're a creeper, buddy. You're a creeper. And so, of course, we give her account. It wasn't none of that. She wasn't pulling the cootie cat out for him. She was trying to get sand out the coot nanny. You know what I mean? She was on the beach with her son. She was doing all of these things. And he literally bogarts his way into her hotel room and does the most heinous things to her, makes all of the threats. Nicholas wakes up and she has to go try to lull him back to sleep, make sure that he's good, while Jonathan proceeds to finish whatever he's doing. In a very, in the picture in the very end, when Stephen is over the fire, we actually see that Nicholas did in fact see what was going on. And I mean, maybe that would drive anybody to the rocks. You know what I mean? To the rock, to the needle. I don't know. That's a lot to try to comprehend. Not only seeing that, the next day having a near-death experience where you almost drown in the ocean. I have a new level released of compassion for Nicholas after hearing her account. But again, Stephen looks at her and he says, "You lying. You lying." But you can see that something in it is resonating for him, and he has to believe her. But she goes on and on. She says, I scooped the DNA out of me and I put it in a cup, and I was going to do this, X, Y, or Z. And then when he died the next day, I said, why disrupt the world? Why even bring it into my marriage? Why even put it out there? I can act as though this never happened. I can erase it. I can forgive it, or not forgive it, but forget it. And as far as my son, he won't remember any of this. He didn't remember. You know what I mean? It's going to be all on me. Kwana, talk to me about this confession, laying it all out on the table, and how it really changed your opinion of things. And we'll get in depth to Jonathan in the next slide, I think.
Well, 2 things. One, it worked for this story, but she did one of the things that I hate most when you're watching a show, which is people don't really say the whole thing. And so and of course, that's part of the mystery element. You say a little bit, or you're talking to somebody, you don't tell them everything that's going on. And she does that here at times where she's like trying to talk, and then she's like, well, wait, sit down. I'm not done. And I'm like, girl, just say what you're going to say. Just like, stop. Like, you keep pausing, taking a break. Just say it. And she did it again later on when she was sending those text messages talking about he's a dangerous man. Well, say this man he's trying to kill our, like, say what he trying to do. So that infuriated me. But I will say I do think it worked because of her not saying it because of the trauma. So I was trying to work my mind around, but I will tell you, I was screaming at the TV like, girl, if you don't just go ahead and tell this man what this boy did and stop playing around before this medicine kick in. It's still so many holes for me in the timeline, though, where from what we saw in the mom's book to what we saw, what little bit of we saw at the very beginning before the book actually showed up, to here, that's like the only thing where I feel like there could have been one more episode. But listen, I mean, I'm glad that she told him, because I think even if she didn't do anything else, he needed to hear from her, like, listen, this is who your son was. Because I think only he could really piece it together and start making whatever he knew about Jonathan click in his head and say, okay, yeah, my son was a creep. And there probably were some tells. There probably were some moments where he got in trouble at school for messing with the little girls. There probably were some times where he was looking at the little girl's dress. Like, there was some stuff. There was some stuff. So,
yeah, no, because Jonathan, if this was the Jonathan, the one that we saw in this episode, he was a villain. There was no nuance. There was none of it. He was a straight up predator. He needed to be under the jail or gone before he could wreak even more havoc in the world. He was an unaliver. I'm sure he just hadn't got the opportunity.
Dracula. He was reading too much Dracula. He thought he was Dracula, slitting his arm open, making people suck his blood. Like, bruh, that's no.
Okay. Any compassion for Catherine in her retelling? Was there any part of it that rang true for you? What did you think about her putting it all out there?
When me looking at this, and this is the play, where it says it all comes out, it's I don't. Nice play on words, Ashley. You know what? I have come to the conclusion that I feel like I know what happened. I feel like it was some of both stories. I feel like she saw this young man. He was taking pictures. He looked like he thought she was cute, because don't nobody in a strange place with a son leave a door unlocked. There ain't nobody that naive, and you got children. I believe she let that boy in. She wanted to kind of hang out with him because he thought that she looked good, give her some compliments, but I feel like that's all she wanted from him. And then he wanted to do some other kind of freaky deaky stuff that she wasn't into. But I feel like she did have a conversation with him, because there is no way he would go out and save this child if he did not build some kind of rapport with her. I feel like she invited him over and maybe just wanted to sit, talk, have some drinks, and kiki with him. And then when she was just like, all right, it's time for you to get up on out of here. And he was like, who getting out of where? And that's when it got weird. Because he was just like, nah, you done told me to come up here. Now I'm finna do what I came to do. And then that's when, he started being a weird predator. But I just feel like she let him in. I feel like she just wanted to have a friendly conversation and have some nice male company, but he really wasn't a nice man.
I don't know, because when we hear from, we don't even hear from her, but when we get that whole picture of Nancy talking to Sasha's mom and her beating the phone down, I'm like, Jonathan, it immediately made me feel like Jonathan did something violent to Sasha, right? And then when we have this moment, it was hard for me to wrap my head and conceptualize that you go out of the country and you are just this recklessly bold as a predator, so much so that after you commit your acts, you don't even leave. Like, you linger around because you still want to watch after you violated someone in such a heinous way. You bust into this lady's room. It was so aggressive and so but then again, I think about colonization, and it doesn't make me think that. It makes me think that some people have all of the damn bravado and chutzpah and don't think anything can happen to them because, they're behind a cloak of whatever. I don't know. There were some things that I was like, man, Tyra, what about you? What did you think about her retelling? Is this the actual factual, or does the truth still lie somewhere between the lines?
I think it's the actual factual. If there was what would be the harm in saying, well, I did, want some male attention. My husband wasn't giving me any. So yes, I did invite him up. That in comparison to what she's been trying to hide and suppress from Robert, it's just, it's not even matching up to where we can say one thing and not the other. It's really having me test whatever her relationship was to Robert to where as her husband, bar everything else, she felt like there would be judgment from him. She felt like things would be different, or I would, appear in a different light if I, tell him. And clearly, I think with Robert's reaction to it, it was a little bit of that. It was a little bit of, like, oh, this is disgusting. Like, it wasn't just the thought of her cheating, but just the thought of how it went. And and if that was that just based off of cheating, if she was handled in the room in that way and she had to say that to him, she didn't want to risk losing what she felt like was valuable, this husband, this little perfect little family. So I'm not even going to say anything. So I don't even think that their situation was absolutely solidified from the go. And that's why it was so easy just to progress, towards the end into divorcing. Like this was never that, but I was trying to hold on to it because at the time it meant something to me. And I didn't want to tell my husband this is what happened. And if we can't tell the husband, it's no way that we're telling anybody else. I felt like she was so passionate here and wanting to tell, not just because it was the dad, but she's talking about it for the first time. She hasn't told anybody. It's like I've been working up to say this, like you're gonna hear it. And, she's sipping that damn tea, but that's neither here nor there. But I'm finally, building up the courage to say something, and you're gonna hear it. Above all else, you definitely need to hear it because you're acting like your son wasn't something that he clearly was. Like, you don't get that overnight. That's something he worked his way up to. He has tried, and progressed with probably several girls, other women, whatever. And he thought with him being out there in that isolated place with Sasha, he was maybe going to be able to, commit those little heinous things. And, Sasha got the hell out of there. Sasha got the hell out of there. And of course, he noticed Catherine. She noticed. And it's just like, oh, okay, some young boy thinks I'm attractive. That's something for me to fawn over later and, think about, how I still got it. Yeah, I don't put it beyond Catherine Alita. People be leaving their doors open. We don't leave our doors. We don't leave our doors unlocked. We ain't doing that. But it's we're in the foreign and everything's peace and love. Who's gonna come up here not knowing that this was that? Every single thing in her account accounted for everything we had questions for before. So I don't know why it would be hard to process her actually telling the truth. Like, I believe it. Like for him to do that, like what he had to be doing before he met her.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane. And I think the mother knew, and he, this is something that she was trying to hide. He was trying to hide, and Stephen just being Stephen. He wasn't paying no attention. He was just doing what that lady was telling him to do. This was a sick boy, and you would want Catherine to get up and react as a victim, like, oh, I need justice. I'm going to the police. I'm doing this, and no, it wasn't any of that. Even her accounting for, like, the fact that she forgot about this, suppressed it. She, emptied everything out, took pictures. I don't know. I'm not going to prosecute anything. I'm going to throw those away. And then we aborted a whole mission because there was a possibility that it might be. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. And I think Catherine was tormented at the fact I thought I was done with this, and you come bring it back in my face, and then it's for a son that son. This isn't what you thought. Let me tell you, and you're going to sit here and listen to it. I wish you wouldn't have sipped that damn tea, but here we are.
I know. It was so heartbreaking to me. The whole thing is really just insane to think about it. But we know Nancy made her son this way. Well, if she didn't make him this way, she facilitated his predatory behavior because he was, in fact, a true predator. And again, like I said, on the beach with that scope, taking pictures without permission is cringy, creepy behavior. But honestly, I did not expect what we saw. Anybody have any other thoughts on him before I go forward? I don't know why I covered up his face. That must have been a subconscious thing.
Something Tyra said hit me when she was talking about how Catherine was worried about, how Robert was going to react. And it just got me thinking, like, women know their men. And they know how their men are going to react. And I think she knew. And when you have a good one and they're going to ride with you, they're going to ride it down, they're going to pull all the, they're going to go all out for you. Or when they're not about that life, and they're going to doubt. And when we think about how he reacted to when he thought it was an affair and how he was getting his rocks off of that, he was never going to be that guy who was going to show up for her. And I think she knew it. I think inside her, she didn't even want to admit it, because that's scary to think that your people aren't going to show up for you like that. So I think once she realized that, she was like, probably like, she didn't even want to admit it to herself. But I think this guy, I think when we go back to that scene on the train, my suspicion is when the dude came to get the ticket, he wasn't stopping, and Sasha wanted him to stop, and he was not stopping to the point where Sasha was saying stop. And I think that's where it all went. I think that's where she made the lie, or said that my auntie got hit up by the what was it,
by the lorry.
By the lorry. I think it was that moment. I think he was going, and she was clearly not about, like, you're letting this guy basically see me doing this. Like
I could see it. I think the reaction validates that whole ending of like, why wouldn't you? But like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you believe her? Well, why wouldn't you? Aren't you her husband? Like, he showed those colors immediately on who he would have sided with if she had said whatever way back when. Because it was like, whose husband is this? How do you so instantly flip on your wife? Especially when it in the beginning is like, all right, you want to have your little drunken stupor. When it's like, listen to me, our son is in jeopardy, and he's just like, yeah, I don't give a damn. It took no time for him to just flip on her.
And we'll get to it. We actually have a slide on that for them, because Robert, you're useless. But all these men lately in these shows have been useless. I'm like, what's the point? But anyone have anything else to say on Jonathan before I ease on down the road? Because I mean, I think we
ease on down.
Yeah. I think that he did the same thing with his little girlfriend that he did to the to Kate or whatever. I think that he went under the guise of he was a good guy. Because, like, there's no way you're going to go to another country with somebody if you don't feel like they're a good person. And I think that he made it that he's one of those, slick talking, manipulative people, that he got this nice little girl, said, come to this place. And she thought that he was a good guy. And then he flipped on her because he's probably crazy like his crazy mama. And I feel like he did that to his girlfriend. And I feel like he did that to Catherine.
Yeah,
and then he died. Hey, he dies. Like, who's to say that Sasha wouldn't have tried to prosecute him or, press charges for the family? But he just conveniently died.
And I'm just gonna throw this out there. We don't even know. But what if the way the mama was riding for him and everything, and being so creative with what happened? What if this was some strange thing about the Johnsons type stuff?
I already told you.
Oh my God.
And he was and him and he was messing with the.
I already told you.
Don't go there, because I'm trying to erase that memory now. I'm trying to erase it.
The pictures. Because why would there be pictures of you, Steven? He doesn't care. There's pictures of me. Do you see that? That's the back, the snarl of my back, the side of my neck, and my ear. Lady, what? Man, please.
He was in love with
trying
that
to erase the memory of the strange thing about the Johnsons.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to get out of there. But yes, I definitely feel like there's some Norma and Norma Bates things going on here.
Lord have mercy. And so again, we already saw this part. I don't believe you, Catherine. And Catherine proceeds to have drank the tea and fall. What did you do to me? What did you do to me? What did you do to me? And she does the stagger, the melodramatic thing that we all love to see. And she falls out in the middle of the floor, and he on his way to the hospital. Okay. But it's traffic. We see her wake up hours later, and she's like trying to call Robert, and Robert paying her dust because Robert's going to pay her dust. He's still got his butt on his shoulders. It's never been about anything but Robert's ego in my mind for him, the way he's behaved, even while his child was on life support, with the whole, I can't sit in here with you in the same room. We can't. I mean, it should have been about Nicholas. Even in Nicholas almost dying, it was still not about Nicholas, at least for Robert. And so she gets up in the morning and she's like, I need to go to the hospital. I need to stop him. He's on his way. If you see Steven, don't let him in. He's going to hurt him. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. He's a psychopath. And of course, it is what it is. Robert ain't paying her no mind. Steven gets there. Okay. And we see now that Nicholas is going to be fine. He's going to make it. He will survive, like Gloria Gaynor, right? And so as he has his arm on him, he is ready to do the deed. Steven is ready to fully commit. We hear Nicholas say, Mom. And it's like in that moment, he has clarity. And Steven's like, oh, what have I done? What have What have I done? And we kind of see, it looks like he's rewinding every event in his mind, everything that he saw with his son growing up, everything that he saw that his wife covered up or probably participated in comes rushing back. And he's like, I can't do it. Tyra, were you surprised by Steven's clarity in this moment? And why did it take this? Why did it take him getting up there and ready to really do the deed for him to have this moment of clarity?
Girl, for dramatic effect, this made me mad. This made me mad. Like the fact that it came down to his sole decision on whether or not he was going to end this young man's life. The fact that he got that close a second time, like a second time.
And some time to think too.
Richard failed him. The mother, Catherine felt because it wasn't. It was a little text message. I was like, where is the he's about to kill him. I need your verbiage to be a little bit better. He's dangerous. Don't make me go over there into them Debbie Moore.
Tyra said, use your words.
Because it was just like, don't let him near him. He's not sick. I was like, what is this? Like, where's the urgency in your text, in your whatever? He's not, you can't just rely on him, girl. Call that hospital, call the police. I need somebody to get in there to save my son just in case I don't make it. Like her falling out in that hall, just at the aspect that she thought, like, it just the child. I don't want to hear nothing about over there across the pond and they free healthcare. If I can let every Tom, Dick, and Ray roll up to my bed just because they said they knew my uncle, sister, daddy, cousin. No. What was they was like, oh yeah, who? Okay, yeah, go back there just a minute, and he needs to rest. And it's not too much on the rest because the boldness for him to get there in a room full of folks, a room full of other occupants and patients, and not give a damn. And then when it's just like mom, it's like, oh, I finally see him as the child that he was on that Bowie, as the young boy. This is somebody's son. What the hell am I doing? I've lost my mind. Like the way he would have been shot. the way that Steven would have been shot, because you're not going to get this close the second time. It was just kind of cavalier, like, oh, like I don't give a damn how old he is. He needed to be dealt with, and he wasn't, and I didn't like that. But it's fine. At least he didn't get to the
Yeah, he didn't get to him, and I mean the damage that he caused, it can be repairable. It's he can go on a publicity tour and help her clean up that reputation. Kay, were you surprised? And why did it take Steven to get here to have his moment of clarity? And why did he have a whole 10-15 minutes alone with Nicholas before anyone even got there? Like he could have been done, finished the job by the time anybody got there to stop him.
Because y'all be underestimating Steven. You got to let him cook and, sit in and stuff for a little bit. He had to think it through. And he had to really, I think he went and sat there and said, why would I take you out when your mom really almost just let you go ahead and get up out of here? Because you know what? It really wouldn't matter if I took you out. It's not going to hurt her. And, the point was to hurt her. This really ain't going to hurt her in the way that I thought it was. So I guess you can go ahead and live. Like, you know what? Me and you ain't got no beef. I see the type of person she is.
Oh, and I actually felt like in that moment he realized she was telling the full truth. Quana, what did you think about Steven's moment of clarity here? Was it the mom, and reaching out and grabbing the hand? Was that what did it?
Yeah, I think that's what did it. And I think he didn't see Nicholas as a real human being. And I think he, very early on, right, he kind of criticized him for not knowing how to spell whatever that long behind name was that he gave him to try to spell.
It was useless. A waste of space.
And Nicholas is definitely a bit pathetic. But I think in that moment, he saw him as this innocent little boy who, no matter what happened, no matter what he truly believed, I think at that moment he did believe, because the pieces started to click together for him. But I think in that moment he realized at the end of the day, he was this innocent boy just there. Didn't have a role to play in this, and this was this innocent bystander, and he's on this hospital bed, like he's already been punished. Why continue to punish him? I hope he saw him and in that moment remembered maybe there was some point in Jonathan's life where he was still innocent and kind of wishes that something had gone differently. And at that moment, he decided not to become what Jonathan was, not to take anything else away from Catherine. I hope that that's what happened in his mind.
That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. I really wish we would have gotten a little bit more narration in that moment. But this scene got me. And I said, well, Stephen King, you're not wrong in this moment, because Robert confronts Stephen on the way out, and Stephen is very I guess lethargic in this moment, right? He's sitting with everything that's kind of happened, and the thought, I think, that he was almost going to unalive this innocent person based on lies and deceptions. And he's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And Robert's like, why? Why did you why did you do this? Why did you not believe, whatever, all of this? And Stephen looks back at him and says, it's your wife. Why didn't you believe her? And I thought that was so telling in that moment, because Stephen, like, damn, she was my enemy. I ain't know this heifer. Like, she could get it. Anybody could get it about what I thought had happened to my son. But this was your wife. This was your responsibility to cover, protect, to have a conversation at the very least before taking my word as a complete stranger, ready to abandon her, throw her in the trash, all of those things. Kay, talk to me about this moment. And did you agree with Stephen's statement to Robert?
Absolutely. Stephen is the stranger here. He's like, I don't know you people. All I know is that I feel like she had a hand in unaliving my child. Like, she had a hand in ruining him. That's all that I know. But this is your wife and your child. You're supposed to know and protect these people. So why would you be so quick to jump on the bandwagon of the smear campaign and the hate train? Like, you need to look at yourself and ask yourself, why was you so quick to toss them to the side? Okay, I don't have no ties to these people, but you do. So you need to be, instead of asking me, you need to be, talk to her. You don't want to put her out your house.
He was the conductor of the hate train. Robert said, all aboard. Let's get her out of there. You're getting out. Yeah, your mom has a work trip. She's getting out of here. Tyra, what did you think about Stephen? I mean, telling Robert the truth in this moment.
I mean, so if you dirty and old, that means you can't go to jail no more. Where are the
But
cops?
what's the crime now, though?
What you mean?
The
You did a
most would
whole
be
lot.
defamation, libel, and defamation. That would be it. But I mean, what harm did he? I mean, what physical harm? There's no other crime other than. I mean, it would be a civil suit. It'd be defamation, libel,
You
maybe
rolled up there
slander.
with your Drano. You put
But he didn't
something in
do
my
it.
tea.
How will
Yeah,
they know? How will they know? He didn't. He
They'll
didn't.
never know. They'll never know.
somebody going to jail. Okay, somebody's going to jail. There is enough on the table for you to get locked up for the remaining years of your life. All 2 years of your life you got left, you go spend them in jail. I didn't like him just going out with his revelation of, he gonna go live an honest life now.
I honestly thought he was going to unalive himself. That's what I thought when we got to that fire. I thought, oh, he finna end it all.
We intruded lives. We were stuck. Like he caused a whole spectacle within every aspect of Catherine's life. Him online, all that stuff. He didn't probably, but he covered his tracks. But you did just poison me. It'll be somebody going to jail, Ash. I'm sorry, but this was very telling. This was very telling, and he even just how passive he was. Why did you do? Like, if you don't whoop his ass, what are you talking about? This is your wife and your son. Like, it girl. And then I think Catherine had that revelation of like what this is. Like, it's not about what you want or how you perceive me. Clearly, it was always something, or you wouldn't be so prone to believe this stranger. It was just like, it's my son's alive. That's all I care about. You get out of my way. I've made this about what I thought that you were gonna think of me for far too long. And you move. Well, why would you? I just can't. But she was. I was like, why are you talking? Useless, man. He could have left and got in that elevator with him for all I cared.
Kwana, it's your wife. Why didn't you believe her?
A broken clock is right twice a day, and this was one instance when Steve was definitely right. Like, this woman for 20-something years. You just know her. I just met this chick. Why would you believe me? And this is the way it always goes, where someone turns their back on someone who's been in their life to believe somebody who just came along. You so wanted this man to, oh, we're gonna be friends. We can sit down, have dinner together. We could look, come be my son's play grandpa. Come to the hospital and sit with my son. I just met you. I just met you, but I'm inviting you. Not nobody from my family, nobody from my son's life to come up here and see him while he's on life support. But I'm gonna invite you, strange man, who is blackmailing my family and sending me naked pictures of my wife. Like, Robert is just as despicable and complicit in all of this in many ways as Stephen was. And it really, Stephen, his wife is bad, but when we go back to the heart of it, his wife wrote that stuff down and she didn't do anything with it. She wrote it down and she kept it. And maybe she did that because maybe that was the story she needed to tell herself to live with what her son did. Maybe she knew, maybe she had a sense. Obviously she knew because Sasha's mama called and was ready to cuss her out. So maybe that was the story she needed to tell herself, but she didn't do anything with it. And Stephen was the one who said, oh, I'm going to publish this, put it in the bookstore next to her house that she goes and frequents. I'm going to send it to her job, send the pictures to her husband's job. And who cares if anybody else sees it? Like, they were just all so complicit in being horrible. It was disgusting. But on a side note, why are these shows coming out with these horrible nurses and horrible hospitals? What they trying to say? Because these nurses was just about as bad as the ones in Beauty and Black, to picking on Rain for her butt shot.
And grotesquerie, because where all the hospital staff be at?
Not around, not to be bothered. So we get past this, and he bumps into Catherine in the hallway as he's leaving, and she, of course, thinks the worst because all he can say is, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And so, of course, she thinks her son is gone to be with the Lord, and Robert's like, "No, he's fine, everything's fine." And they have this moment in the floor and in the hospital while they're waiting, of course, to be able to go see Nicholas again. And I'm so sorry, sir. Keep your sorries. Keep your sorry, save them with your criminal enterprises. Go over there, and I'm going to go and I'm going to live my best life, because this was too much. I can't imagine being married to a man for at least 25 years, right? I don't know how soon they got married before they had Nicholas, but we knew he was 25 now, and he was 5 back then. So I'm saying you guys have been married at least 25 years, and he was willing to turn his back at the first sight of stormy weather. At the first sight of stormy weather. So I can only imagine what this marriage was like. I can also only imagine the guilt that she's dealing with, the shame from everything that happened with Jonathan, but then the guilt for how she's handled Nicholas his whole life, right? Because I do think that she viewed him as a relic of her pain and like the worst time in her life. And so I can see why there was this kind of chasm between the two of them in the relationship. And now, while she's not only confronting her past, it's now I'm almost losing my son. And now here you come talking about you're so sorry. I couldn't even confide in you in the worst time of my life, and I've had to hold this in. And when somebody comes and make an allegation, you're Johnny on the spot for them. You turn on me in an instant. Now, if I could have asked for anything more, I would have wanted to see Catherine give Robert the business. Kwana, talk to me about this moment and how you'd have handled Robert after all this.
She should have said, if you don't get your MFing hands off of me, sir, let me go get to my son, because he's over here begging, saying, I'm sorry. First of all, you just let me believe that my child had just died. So I'm on the floor, snot and sliding down the walls. And now you're over here saying, I'm sorry, I didn't believe you. And I just can't get over. I mean, I know she don't know, but we know. So it's bad enough that we know how he responded. He didn't pull, he didn't pull a, what was my boo's name in Best Man, Morris Chestnut. It wasn't Lance. Was it Lance? When he was envisioning Mia and Harper, and he had his little thugs here going. He didn't respond like that. I could have respected him if it was just him being sad. But he was sitting here getting his jollies off. I can't. I would have been pummeling him. Get off me. First of all, you had me kicked out my son's hospital room when he was on death's door. Now you don't let me think he was dead. Now you've heard crying to me. Oh, he needed to get slapped like that boy in the job office got slapped. Most definitely. I'm never gonna be looking. I'm never gonna look at Sasha the same again.
Oh,
I'm gonna be
Sasha
judging
Baron
him.
Cohen, Lord. Tyra, I'm so sorry, girl. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm
Too
sorry
little,
I
too late.
stayed in this marriage too long. Like this was something familiar and something comfortable. There was never any real death marriage here if she felt like she couldn't confide in him about, what happened to her. And the way he flipped, the way this went, the way that even in at their worst, he just couldn't put the son first. I just think their marriage, regardless of whatever it was before, that particular weekend completely, changed the trajectory of everything. And it was just kind of off course since then. And they've been kind of putting on airs this entire time and trying to make because ain't no way in hell Nicholas got to where he at and you baby. Yeah, it ain't no way that we were doing all that we could as parents, and it was just such a great family, and our son is a failure to lunch type situation. So that was there. I think this was just like, yeah, get it out now, because whatever we had, it's really over, to the point that we need to divorce and separate. And I need to go back and focus on who I always should have been focusing on, which is our son. Even though at this time she didn't think that the baby saw. I was thinking that when that act is happening, and she's like, she's hearing something, these cries or something, and she's like, it was me, my body screaming. I think it was the baby.
Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be. I mean, he saw, and I just hate to imagine how much of it he did see, standing there in that picture. And I'm like, how he go through all them pictures and he's just now seeing this part after he done threw it in the fire. And hey, the equalizer, ladies, I fully support all of you. Please do note that as a man, I shall speak up and agree or disagree accordingly. That's what we want.
What?
Was there some issue? Was there an issue?
Go take a nap. What is y'all?
Was there an issue? Respectful dissent is very much welcome. We welcome dissenting opinions and voices completely. So okay,
It was random.
Yeah, I was like, oh, all right. Kay, I'm so sorry. Would you take Robert back after all this?
If she felt she couldn't, first of all, if she felt she needed a vacation away from that man, and then if she felt like she couldn't tell him something that important, they should have uncoupled upon arrival. So they can go ahead. They can go. There's no need for them. Nicholas don't need them right now, in this foolishness in their life. Just go ahead and uncouple. I mean, she already living outside the house anyway. Just you don't have to. Don't go back. Just don't go back home.
Yeah, put him there. That was Borat, Dane C. Yes, it was Sacha Baron Cohen. That was him. L, I did not. I don't know if Kay or Quana did though. Did you guys read this book?
I didn't. I'm gonna have to add it to one of my book clubs because I want to know what more could have been left out.
Yeah, I feel like that. I think I read upon reading stuff about the book, the ending was changed. I think that it was a lot more going on at the end, and the TV show changed the ending.
Okay. Yeah, y'all, and I'm not reading this book. I can tell you that right now. I don't want to go back down this rabbit hole at all. But thank you guys so much, and shout out to the 55 people who are in the building. We appreciate you so much. And we have something exciting happening this weekend, Saturday night, a members only watch along that I'll be hosting. And here is my pick. We will be right back after these messages.
I am no longer your master.
Video on your show, aren't you?
The answer is no.
Master.
You sure look like the master to me.
This is Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon.
I know what it's like to lose precious things.
I am no longer your master. Shogun.
Video on your show, aren't you?
The answer is no.
Master.
Sure look like an master to me.
This is Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon.
I know what it's like to lose precious.
Baby, she says she know what it's like to lose precious things. You guys, it will be The Last Dragon this weekend, and I'm so excited. It's one of my all-time favorites. Not Vanity is nasty. Vanity just wanted that man critical. She wanted that man, had to have that man, Bruce Leroy. Easing on down the road, you guys, Steven gets back home. And again, Catherine was telling the full truth, and he is recounting in his mind the duplicitous nature of his wife, and I think coming to terms finally with the idea that his son was a full-on creeper, predator, criminal, all of the things. He finally takes off that raggedy, tattered pink cardigan. He puts his wedding ring in there. He's got this scowl on his face. And again, it's like everything that he believed was a lie. And he's like, now what am I going to do with my life? I've basically lived my whole life as a lie. The two people that I loved most in this world were terrible. And now, actually, as a result of that, I'm terrible too, right? I honestly thought that he was going to take himself out. I thought he was just going to, the fire was going to consume everything and he was just going to burn up, or he was going to throw himself in the flames. I did. I was like, what is he going to do? So I was guessing he's going to live in his house lonely with his roaches and critters until he croaks, because at this point he has nothing to live for, which to me, y'all, was really sad. And it actually does speak to the character of Steven. Not one time do we hear him think or say, you know what, I want to make this world a better place. I think I'm going to take this time to volunteer, to pour into young people, to do anything. This was completely self-interested, just like Robert, to me, honestly. Two sides of the same coin, in my opinion. Quana, I'm going to start with you. What did you think of this moment? Is he fully coming to terms with who these people were and who he is in this moment?
I mean, I think he's letting go, but is he moving on? Like what does he do now? Because he already didn't have anything going on with his life. He was so attached to this memory, and really not even that, because he really was still kind of existing, and then he loses his job, so he grasped onto this. I don't know. I needed to know that he went on Oprah, somebody's show, and told everybody who bought a copy of the book that book was a lie, in case they were putting together the pieces. And he went to her job and apologized. Like, I need to know that there's some recourse, because he literally drugged this woman, drove her son to overdose, like destroyed her life, and you just get to have a bonfire in your backyard. It's all okay. I'm like, that's some white privilege if ever there was.
Not a bonfire. Okay.
I was.
Oh, I'm sorry, Quana.
No, I just was saying I was just done. I was just done with Steven at this point. But I know that this is Kay's man. He's a villain. We like villains.
Okay, talk to me. Talk to me about this. Where does Steven go from here? And was this suitable to you? Is this the only amends he needed to make after all was said and done?
I don't know. I feel like I think at this point he might need to go sit and question some of his wife's decisions at that. I feel like once he saw that, it was like, so, you know what, I think he feels like his wife was trying to lead him down in a certain direction, and now that he knows that might not necessarily be true, I think his next mission needs to determine what his wife might have been hiding from him.
So you think the plot
don't
thickens?
burn up yet. Don't burn up yet. She might have some more skeletons in the closet.
Oh, okay, all right. Tyra, is this it? Is this it for Steven? Where does he go from here? And what did you think of this response? Was it shallow for you? Did you want something more? Well, we know you hate him. You know you want him in the
The
pinta.
person's still running. Jail is right there. Jail is right there. The police department is right there. Like, he shouldn't get to just like, oh, I'm just going to burn everything and realize the error of my ways and move on and take off this ratty ass sweater. What? This is too close to a happy ending for me. I need him to pay the way he had every intention of killing someone and tried to twice. You stalked, you harassed, you ruined lives. Like I just I, I just don't think he should get to have a bonfire and roast a couple of weenies and go back inside that hoarder's home. Why? I mean, I guess we can't do anything about it now, but he would have had to be given due process and committed to the full extent of the law.
TB said, I don't like my villains repenting. This isn't Darth Vader. It's not my Anakin. My Anakin. Darflin, I'm with Tyra. Jail or hell? Well, my goodness. My goodness. Now all's forgiven, y'all. The scenes have changed. The lighting is different. We are in the light of the sun. I am holding my baby boy, and I'm gonna make it all better. All is forgiven, Mama. I love you, Mama. I hated you a minute ago, but now that I had my near-death experience, I love you. All is well. I done left that man. I have this shabby chic white apartment now, and I am ready to move forward. Y'all, this didn't give what I needed it to give in terms of the relationship. I needed a 6 months later. We'd have been in intense therapy. I can now accept my son and not equate him to my trauma that I endured, that he was a party to or a witness to. I needed more than that. And I needed to see that he's completed a 90-day rehab inpatient, because the heroin, you don't stop it overnight. So I needed to see his full range and completion. But all's forgiven, and we're easing on down this road. Tyra, talk to me about how this final scene and how we concluded it. Is this repaired? Is all well? Is all forgiven, and we're just a happy family now?
No. No, this was the only thing that I was like, oh, because I this was happening and I heard her speaking. I went to grab my cup of cranberry juice and sat down, and the credits were going. I said, let me run it back. Maybe I skip. I got a problem with the double tap button. Maybe I hit the double tap on accident. I was like, no, that's it. We're gonna end it like this. I mean, it would have been nice to see, because they both really need some extensive help, like thorough repetition, like help. And I think it was just enough for them, just the fact that they are acknowledging what the problems were, what she experienced, what he saw, and just allowing them to really process and rest in forgiveness. And that's just supposed to be enough, because they were so far away from this, and she was a whore this, and I hate her, and you ain't nothing. I can't stand you. So for them to go from that to this, and for her to like, I just hate that there was so much suffering that could have been ceased if Catherine would have acknowledged what happened to her. But in the whole process of her thinking she was saving him, the thought of something, he was suffering. He's been suffering a very long time because he's been suppressing what he saw. And it was just sad. So I was happy to hear she left Robert. I was happy to hear that, and we're moving on, because it should have never been about you. I should have made it about what I thought I was losing and how you or others would view me. I should have processed whatever during the time, so maybe then my son wouldn't have had to end up in this junky hole slum shooting up. Yeah,
Trap house in the ghettos that London doesn't have. I'm sorry, y'all. Eat, slay, love. If you haven't watched that live, go watch that live. Go run it up. It was fun. Quana, I'm sorry.
Okay. I don't know how I missed this, or if it was a new art piece. What was that little statue in the house? Do y'all remember that statue that was in the house that was like a person?
No.
Go back to this scene. Right when they pan to them and they start zooming in, there's like a statue of a person. I did the same thing. I turned my head for 2 seconds. So I said, "Ooh, who's jump scare? Who was just standing in the corner of the house? Just in the corner, and it's some kind of statue or something." But I was like, "Oh, y'all really bugging over here." No, this scene needed to be in a therapist's office. We needed to know that they were getting some therapy from all of this, not just this hug and everything is going to be okay, boo boo. No, like the drug addiction, your child and saw you got assaulted. It's just too much. And low key, Robert needed to be there. Now they need to be divorced, but Robert needed to be there because he's going to have to do some atonement to his son, not for that he did anything wrong in the past, but for what he did and how he responded in the present. Um, and she kept warning him that, you know, like, Nicholas knew these things, and he just kind of passed it off and didn't pay any attention even to that. Even if he didn't know the truth, he didn't check in with Nicholas to see if Nicholas was okay until it was too late. And he knew that things were wrong. She was telling him, hey, this is not okay. So he's just trash. I don't know, but I will say this. I can't stand this young man, and for that, I think he will be an excellent candidate to play in the reboot of American Psycho.
Oh my goodness. He's got that weird look to him. I tried to
He
be
would
nice this whole
he would
season,
be
but
fantastic.
We were almost on Ashton. Please don't.
because when I saw them little legs, did you guys see it? Like, did you
Well,
when he
no,
laid
I
on that
think
bed? I said,
I-
"Don't
well,
flip apart." Is it
No,
the
I
dope?
think he has some type of illness because you know I'm gonna check before I lean. There's something, some type of spinal things happening to where there's some type of ailment to why his body looks that way. So, yeah.
Because he does kind of look like oh boy's the son from Breaking Bad a little bit.
Somebody said in Men in Black, the Men in Black aliens. Somebody said it in the chat earlier. I didn't know.
I can't.
I didn't say it. I'm just repeating. Somebody put your hand up in the chat if you're the one who said that, because I read it. Put your hand up because I didn't say it. This is not my original thought. This is, and then I said, oh, I'm gonna have to Google it because I do see it in my mind's eye. Kay, all is forgiven now. As a therapist, how would you counsel these two people at this point to continue on with their lives?
I would send them to a family therapist. Okay, I'm not dealing with both of y'all. I'll take one of y'all, but not both of y'all together because y'all need family therapy, and add Robert's ass in there too. Okay, because he got a lot of problems. Because ain't no way you gonna sit there and tell the story that you was about to let me drown, and then Michael Myers came out to the beach to save me, and then no, and then later on for his father to try to finish the job off. That sounds ludicrous, if anything else. And then we just gonna sit here and hug it and thug it out, and then you let me go down the path of the junkie life because you knew something bad happened to me, but you let my brain forget it instead of sending me to therapy when you knew this foolishness was going on. And then send me to the crack house when you know I didn't have the skills for independent adult living. Ain't no way. I'm not hugging you for that.
And saying I was forgiven. Listen, yeah, because she did. She said, I don't want to look at you anymore. Get out of my house. Go get it. Go get it for yourself, buddy. When really she should have had him in intense therapy since he was a young boy, since that near death experience, I think. But also I don't think she wanted her secrets out. I think even in the idea, even if she had kind of repressed the memory that he was standing there, I think subconsciously she didn't want it to get out even in therapy. I don't think she
knew, y'all. I don't think she knew he was there. I don't think she knew he was there. I don't think so.
I do. She is not completely truthful in that whole story. She knew all of that stuff. And then trying to self-preserve. She tried to save herself over her son. I don't trust nobody that do that.
Lord have mercy. She did, y'all. But stay tuned really, really quick. I want you guys to watch one more quick thing, and we will be back, and the ladies will let you know what they have going on the channel. But we have a new schedule coming up next week, and I want you guys to be fully aware and prepared. We have a ton of premieres this week, and I want you guys to be ready. You guys, a ton of new things. Cross comes out this week. Silo season 2 will be out this week. We are ending Three Women, the finale. Finally, y'all, it's over. These 10 episodes will be over. So please make sure that you're subscribed to everyone on this panel. Make sure that the notification bells are hit, and make sure that you drop comments down below so that you don't miss a thing. But before we go, I would love for the ladies to let you know what they have going on. Quana, what's going on in your world this week?
Well, I will be dropping a review for Nickel Boys. So a lot of movie reviews coming up, but starting with Nickel Boys, got a chance to screen that, and that'll be coming out in December. So the review for that, and definitely gonna be watching Cross, because Aldous is on there, and we don't miss a fine man. So we will definitely be watching that one coming out soon.
Awesome. Kay, what's going on over there at A Slice of Horror this week?
My From Theories video is up and on the channel. Y'all know every episode I see a little something different. So I dropped my theories yesterday. Tomorrow, From Live, y'all be there. Wednesday, Penguin season finale, be there. Y'all, this is a top tier series. If you are not watching, please go out and watch that series. It's really good. It's only 8 episodes, and we're at the end of the road with that. And in probably about an hour, with a night of horror, doing a watch along with for Tony Todd, A Night of the Living Dead, the one that came out in 1990. So if you have not seen that, if you have seen that, it's a classic movie. Just hang tight, chill out, and let's watch it together.
Awesome. Tyra over there at Struggle Reviews TV. What you got going on?
Girl stuff. So my From video is uploading as we speak. Be looking for it so you can watch it. Please run it up because the way From is getting under my skin. Y'all already know on Tuesdays we discuss From in depth. Be on the lookout for that. And Wednesday we are getting into all things Tony Todd. Quana, along with some other wonderful horror folks, really excited about it. They are going to be paying tribute with me to Tony Todd, followed by a watch along of Candyman. Let's go, because Lord, who doesn't love Candyman, all right? If you don't, shut up. Other than that, like, just y'all know what the guide is looking like. Make sure that you are caught up on Silo. We will be diving into that show soon, so catch up with season 1 and be all caught up with Alex Cross at least by this Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Sundays we will be here for a live discussing all things Alex Cross. We would love to take it slow and go episode by episode, but they want to drop it all at once and be cute, so we're gonna give it to y'all all at once, probably Sunday afternoon around that time. So yes, stay up and be on the lookout for that.
Awesome. Well, y'all, again, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you riding with us for all 7 episodes of Disclaimer. Thank you guys. We appreciate it so much. And we thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week. Again, be sure to make sure you have the notification bells hit so you don't miss a thing. There are a ton of new series. We'll also be starting Dune. That comes out on Sunday. We'll be covering that starting next week. So yeah, just a lot of fun content coming. And I will leave you with the schedule once more. Thank you and have a great evening.